Hi everybody, it's me, Miss Jessica Lahore, and we're back with another JESS Talk. And today we are talking all about board games. That's right. Before we get into this JESS Talk, make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit the bell for notifications so that you're not missing out on any of my content. Okay, let's talk about it. Board games, baby.
Attention Lahore, attention Lahore, attention Lahore, attention. Here I am walking down the street, seeing all the boys trying to take a peek. Shorts pulled up and chest out right. Come on boys, just take a bite. Look but don't touch, spin it round and round. Crazy.
All right, everybody, board games. Let's talk about it. So if I had to choose, and maybe this is a generational thing, between video games and board games, I definitely would choose board games, hands down. But I am like on the low end extreme of board games, if that makes sense. Now, there are some board game players that I personally can't play with. They're way too serious. They pick the most complicated games. There's like 80 bajillion pieces to set up. It's all strategy, and then it takes 80 billion years because you're like Dungeons and Dragons. I can't do Dungeons and Dragons, but I would play Dungeons and Drag Queens. That would be really fun. But those extreme games are way too hard. Like if you bring it out, especially when I used to smoke and get really high with all my friends, we would sit there and be like, oh yeah, none of us have the capacity to learn this really complicated game. There's like 8 pages. It looks like an accordion of instructions. And there's that one person that you're playing with that's super passionate, like, oh, it's so fun. Like, I'll teach you everything. And you're like, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. But I do like board games. I love game nights in general. Like I said, if I were to choose like video games over board games, hands down, something I grew up on for sure. Games that I like, for example, would be like the game of life, like old school life. Monopoly, love Monopoly. Some people hate fucking Monopoly. I love Monopoly, but I'm the type of person that likes to like destroy every player into the ground with Monopoly. I want to make sure I own the deed to your house, your firstborn's life. I want to make sure that you have to work for me for 87 million years.
Forever?
I just want to destroy you in Monopoly. Love Monopoly. I love playing with my sister Tiffany Vogue so much. Sorry. Oh my God, Operation, Shoots and Ladders. Candyland. There was a game, Don't Spill the Beans. Kerplunk. Guess Who. Really simple, one-off instruction games. Like everybody can understand and get them. Those are the games that I like. No hard instructions. I also really like card games, which I think is kind of a lost art. When I was growing up, card games is like what we did as a family. Like every family gathering, me and my grandpa would play all the time, and we would just take a simple deck of 52 cards and play games. You can even play them by yourself. Way to keep yourself occupied. I love a deck of cards. Solitaire, Egyptian Rat Screw, Pond Scum, King's Corner, Solitaire, garbage, spades, spoons, hearts. Those are the kinds of games that I like to play. And what seems like whenever I'm with my friends, no one ever grew up playing card games. And if they did, they're not into them anymore. And I feel like that's such a lost art of games. Gaming is card games, the simplicity of the deck of cards. I used to collect decks of cards from every state that I would visit, and I have tons and tons and tons of them. And everybody that I went to in my family would always have a deck of cards available for us to play on. Those are the games that I like to play. Super easy, super simple rules, straightforward. This is how it is. Now everything is like elevated and upgraded. Everything is electronic. Every board game is like electronically tracked. Like, what's the fun? How are you supposed to cheat sneakily in the new electronic games? You can't. You have to really think about it. But it's harder to keep track of things. The systems are all different. You got to add batteries now. It's all different. But I loved old school board games, card games, things that you could just like play with a small group and occupy your time with. I'm trying to think of some other games that I used to play. There was one game that you had to like little green poops down the toilet and you had to flush them and do the number of flushes. There was a game with pizza toppings I remember playing as a kid. I can't remember it. Mancala is just like what you do it as an adult, okay? That's a game that you play as an adult, and as a kid. But as a kid, you play with the little beads, you put them around, and as an adult, you take your pill container and your vitamins and you do the same thing. You do pill, 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 then you go back around. It's literally the same game until it's your time to take all the pills. That's how I correlate those two. Chess. The game of chess. So simple. But nobody ever knows how to play it anymore. Chess, backgammon, checkers, for crying out loud. The like power of three, they always came in one box, but like super, if you don't know how to play those, that's like the basics. That's the basics. A deck of cards, solitaire, and the basics of chess, checkers, and backgammon. Those are just things that I used to grow up with my grandparents and my sisters and my family all the time. And I feel like I love playing game nights. I would love to get back to doing once a month game nights. I feel like everybody comes together, but there's always those people that just like hate playing games. They ruin everything. They hate playing games. Yeah, I really miss the idea of board games. I feel like it gets to a point when you're an adult, though, that you realize you have 50 billion board games that you never play. And then it's kind of like when people gift you coffee mugs as presents, and then you realize you have 75 coffee mugs that you never use, but they all remind you of this person, and they all think that they're cute. And then you're like, well, yeah, they are cute, but I don't need 50 million of them. That's how I feel like it is with board games. I go to my game room or game shelf. I feel like everyone has a game cupboard, shelf, whatever. If you don't, get on it. You should have at least 3 games there. And then I look and I'm like, wow, I haven't played any of these in 10 plus years. They just sit. Clue. Oh my God, I love Clue. Disney versions of Clue, Monopoly, anything Disney-opoly, Disney Clue, Disney Sorry. Those are fun games for me. Used to play Trivia Pursuit a lot as a kid, like the Disney Trivia Pursuit. What else did I play? Oh my God, the funniest story. Catholic household, we're not allowed to have anything that is like ghosts, goblins, beyond the dead, whatever. So the Ouija board is really off limits, okay, for Catholics. But we have one. And my mom swears she didn't, but she totally did. She bought my sister a Ouija board and gifted it to her. And she's like, I would never do that. I'm a devout Catholic. But she totally did. And I have it. So I have the Ouija board, but I've never used it. I don't trust that shit. I don't fuck around with that shit. I don't trust it. I've seen too many horror movies that get sucked in and then a demon comes and kills everybody. Not today. Not me. Couldn't be me. Farkle, Yahtzee, dice games, Farkle, Yahtzee, Taboo, Scattergories, I consider in the board game fam. Password, word guessing game, charades even I would consider like a game, like a group game or a board game. Scrabble. Oh my God, I used to play Scrabble with my mother all the time, but I'd always want to make up words that never existed. I always would want to be like, is this a word? And she'd be like, no, it's not a word, but Yasmin blah blah. That's definitely a word. 20 points. No, it's not a word. But I do like playing Scrabble when it's like, I like word games. I love dice games or games that involve dice. I love strategy games, but not like extreme strategy games. Like Blockus. I really like Blockus. You have to connect the corners of the pieces and get all your pieces on the table before everybody else. I love games that make you think, but they're not so complicated that you're brain dead. That's too much for me. Oh yes, Twister, honey. I got a lot of games from my parents before they hated me. They did hate me, but I went and took them anyway. And I stole a lot of the original games. I mean, they're not in good condition whatsoever, but the original Life, the original Twister, the original Monopoly, those are all games that my parents had growing up as kids, and they're vintage. They're literally the original boxes, the original pieces, and that to me is really cool. I wouldn't consider them necessarily board games, but jigsaw puzzles are kind of board games. They're in a box, so it's a game that works for me. But I like puzzles as well, but I used to be into those 3D puzzles. Do you remember those? You'd like build the Empire State Building. They're like foam blocks and you had to connect them. They're like Legos, but they're foam pieces and they're 3D puzzles. I used to get one for every birthday, every holiday, and then we had like a giant city. I built the Notre Dame, the Eiffel Tower, the Leaning Tower, the Sears Tower, all these different monuments and whatnot. And then you'd have so many of these 3D puzzles. I was obsessed with those and building them and like building the village of all of these fun big artifacts. But puzzles I really enjoy, but I'm definitely like a 1 person or 2 people puzzle person. I don't want a whole group of us working on a damn puzzle. That frustrates the fuck out of me because people try to get all your pieces and then you get them confused. They take forever, but I love working on a puzzle by myself. I love doing a puzzle with like a partner or a friend. But it takes forever to finish. They always take fucking forever, and they take up so much space. And then the longer they take up, you're like, well, I can't move this puzzle until I finish it. And then what do you do when you finish it? You just rip it apart, put it in the damn box. Back in the day, and I don't know if many people do this now, they used to put Mod Podge over it and keep it solid and then frame the puzzle. Ain't nobody got time for that now. Ain't nobody got time for that now. No one's Mod Podging their damn puzzle. You get people that are like, oh, well, this is actually a picture of your dog and you can put it together. And then you're like, well, that's great, but I don't have any supplies to like save this forever. What am I supposed to do? Leave it on my kitchen counter for 87 years? That's what happens. I do like those TikToks though, where they'll finish a puzzle and they'll be like, oh, that's so good. And like, yeah, I worked so hard. And then they just throw it off the table. Oh my God, I laugh so hard at those. I think they're hysterical.
Have you seen where they try to pick it up?
No.
In one thing?
You can't do that with a puzzle.
You can.
No, it's stupid.
I've seen them do
No, I don't believe it. That's not a real thing. Clip in a video of someone actually successfully doing it, and I'll believe you, but I don't believe it.
Proof, biatch!
Yeah, it's true. Before I knew it, I was holding on the doors, holding your hand, getting off of work.
I think that Cards Against Humanity, What Do You Meme, the Stoner edition of What Do You Meme, I think those are all fun, of course. I think they're a good time. Apples to Apples, remember when that was super popular? It's like the low-key version of Cards Against Humanity. I like them. I think Cards Against Humanity specifically is like Family Guy, for example. You know going into it, or South Park, you know going into it, watching it, or playing it, it's going to be offensive. It's going to offend size of body, religion, background, people, sexually offense, everything wrong is in these games. And some people can't get on board with that. But it's really nice to have everybody in the circle let their guard down a little bit and just play the game. Yeah, it really goes back to like creative ways to make card games happen though. I love games like that. I like the idea of sitting around a table, people have a drink or a beverage of some kind and some snacks, and you play poker, you play games. I would love to start a queer poker night with friends, like friendly. I consider that a board game. Pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters.
Wigs.
No wigs. Those are too expensive. But pennies, dimes, nickels, quarters, poker game, and get people together. That's the thing, is it really is just a socializing, like a social gathering. How do you get people in one space to just chill and hang out with each other and keep everyone occupied? That isn't watching a movie where people fall asleep. That isn't spending money. It's a really cheap option to do a game night. And isn't, and everyone's included. Like everyone can play. Sometimes the games don't even require skill. You just have to participate. That's the bare minimum. Really. But I'm a big fan. This JESS Talk is actually inspiring me to want to start up monthly game nights and be like, whoever can come, there'll be snacks. Like, let's just play board games. That sounds really fun.
Do you think that bingo is a board game?
Yeah. I would say it falls in the same realm as a board game. You literally can have a physical board when you're playing bingo or even dopping a card. That is in the same realm as like the board game family. Maybe it's a distant cousin, but it's the same kind of thing. And I play bingo with bitches 78,000 times a month. I know how to count to 75 better than anybody in this bitch. That's a whole different JESS Talk on bingo, drag bingo. Oh my gosh, what a mess. But overall, yeah, I'm inspired to want to start it back up again. I really enjoy it. This could be just JESS Talks on party games, essentially. Party games, board games, gathering games, drinking games even. That could be a whole nother one. Drinking games that, King's Cup, beer pong, flip cup, quarters. Yeah, drinking games, anything like that. Any group gathering party game is really what this JESS Talk should be called. Well, everybody, what are some of your favorite games? What are some nostalgic games to you? What are some games that you regularly play? I'm not a big fan of the complicated ones, but what are some of your favorite complicated ones, easy ones? Do you even play card games? Let me know in the comments, and maybe you'll be invited to my game night. All right, everyone, we'll see you next time. Bye.
I'm an intentional whore. Can't help it, bitch. I'm an intentional whore.